Hey guys, so last week we worked on shaping metal. So this week I'm going to give you a little look at making some bracketry using a dimple die, show you a couple new tools. Just so you know, a dimple die is this little recess that puts into metal. It makes it considerably stronger. And it looks kind of cool. So come on back, I'll show you how it's done. So first thing I want to show you is the tool. These are dimple dies. Basically, they're just a couple of dies that has the shape. You press them together to get uh, basically that shape in the aluminum. Um, we also use something called a knockout punch, which basically uses to punch the holes. Now, I show you these two tools because you can go to Harbor Freight and they sell a kit. It's Porta Power, and it's basically this little ram, which I made this bracket to kind of hold it. But that little ram you can use for these knockouts. Now, it's actually a tool they use for electricians. They got to punch a hole in the side of a breaker panel. They get in there with this and put that punch up in there. It just makes the hole for you. I use them because it's a lot easier to punch out the hole for the diameter dimple die you need. So, what we want to do is we're going to talk about making some cool looking brackets. So typically, most of you guys and myself, we do a lot of show cars, we do a lot of race cars. And the thing with a race car is you want the panel as light as possible, but as strong as possible. The show car, you want it to look good. So I'm going to show you something neat with a dimple die. Pretty simple process. I'm going to show you how strong it gets. So I got a couple pieces of aluminum here. Now, I pre-drilled some holes in this one just so I didn't waste a lot of time for you. But if you take that aluminum, you have to drill a hole the size of this stud to get started. Now, it does require a couple of spacers because of the depth. And you place the lower die on there. This is the upper die. Screw them together, and then we just punch out that hole. And you want to go all the way down until that lifts off. Okay, so then you release the top die, and it gives you this neat little looking washer. So we're going to go ahead and punch out all three of these. And this is in real time, so you can see it doesn't take a lot of time to do this, or effort for that matter. But the appearance that you get when you're done and the strength is pretty cool. I always say that they make neat little washers. So if you're doing a steel panel, you can make yourself a nice, cool little washer out of it. You may need somewhere else. So I always save them. As you can see, it punches fairly easy, and it's a pretty simple process, pretty quick. Okay, so we ended up with three nice sized holes. Now, when you purchase the knockout punch from Harbor Freight, it basically comes with a Porta Power, the ram, and several different sizes of punch. Now, the dimple dies comes in a set with different sizes. So we'll set that die on there like so. This dies are not intended to use with this Porta Power. But if you set that on, set the die over it, it's self-aligning, and then just take the other half of your cutter and put it on the top with a large washer. You have that thread then, and it locks it up. Now, if you're making a panel that's bent already, you have to pay attention to the direction that you're putting the dimple. Since I haven't made any flanges on the edge of this one, it really doesn't matter. And you just squeeze it together. Unscrews rather easy with the dimple, and you end up with a really nice little die. Okay, so we'll go through and we'll do all three of these. And it self-centers, so you don't have to worry about being too particular about it. Now, if you were to purchase the dimple die set without the ram, you can do it with a jack or a press or a vise. Just squeeze the two together. Doesn't require this, but for the price, I think when I bought this one, it was about $100. Gave me all the knockouts. There's five different knockout sizes, and the Porta Power itself. So for $100, it's kind of worth buying it, for the whole as well as using it for the dimple die. So pretty simple process. We just made, and you can face the dimples whatever direction you want to. Okay, so let's take this off of here. Put it back up there. So you can't lose it. And the dimple dies. You see, I got a set here. But there's several different sizes, and works quite well. So now we're going to take this flat panel over here to the break. And we're going to line this up on here. And we're going to put a little 1/2-inch flange on the side. Okay. And do the same thing on the other side. So what we've ended up with is kind of a cool looking bracket. Considering that you see how flimsy that is, this became very, very strong. And if you're building a race car, there's nothing that weighs less than a hole. Okay, so it's kind of cool looking. There's other things that you can do with this. I've used it to recess a gauge. You're going to put a gauge in and set it in there. You can reset some of your switches and light switches and dash panels. So there's a bunch of neat things that you can do. But it's designed basically just to take up strength. And this became very strong. Now, there are other ways to strengthen a piece of metal. Now, we save this piece. Maybe next week we'll do something on the bead roller. And the bead roller is another way to place some ribs into this panel and get more strength out of it. But, if you're building something kind of cool, race car, show car, or something, and you need a little bracket, that's kind of a pretty simple way of doing it. And it looks cool. So stick with us and come on back to see us Friday for the end of the week wrap up. And next Wednesday we'll kind of go over the bead roller and we'll talk about making some strength in panels through that. So that's this week's little more sheet metal work for you. You guys have a good week. We'll see you Friday.